And last recordings. The first horror attack of the year, or at least of my memory. And we are still on the move, and we battled in Windern, and after losing a couple dudes, we got the castle. And we killed 21 enemy mages who I guess weren't really scripted right, because they should have killed all of us. Or at least a ton of us, instead of just killing a couple chef and then falling down dead themselves. But well, victory for us, I suppose. And another idiot gets himself wounded. Man, those magic experiments must be dangerous. Some other stuff here and there. We killed a monster boar, and it seemed this one at least was actually not sent by someone, but just an event, because there is only the independent flag. But in this game you have to be careful, because sometimes the game is not really clear about this. I think you sometimes get magic spells where you can't really tell if it was an independent event or not. At least that's what my memory claims. I'm not a walking encyclopedia, so I would have to look this up, and I'm not really in the mood. But anyway, we are one step closer to Ulm and this throne in the Skatli Swamps. If we go back a year to the point where I was playing this turn, I still thought I could win, so I was still trying to get thrones. Because with thrones you get throne points, and with throne points you can win. Alternatively, of course, you can win wars, but you're not really in a position to fight thousands of vampires, because those dudes are bad news. Anyway, let's see our victory in Windern. Tons of dudes with wings, 2 super monsters, and here we have 21 air mages, which normally means that next turn tons of thunderstrikes should rain on our heads. I'm interested to see why this didn't happen. And here we have Lothar, the Tartarian Cyclops, with tons of magic gear, and he is also insane, so hopefully he won't attack our own side. And summon storm power, yes, and then they start casting body every roll. Okay, dudes, if we stick you enough with our spears, that won't help you. So I'm guessing next turn then the thunder strikes. Hordes of skeletons. Yeah, there! And starfires? Okay, thunder strike I understand, but all that other garbage. Did he even script them? At first it looked like it, but either he scripted them really badly, or only a few of them. Phantasmal Warriors and Thunderstrikes. Yeah, it looks like he only scripted a couple of them, and not everyone, and everyone unscripted just summons fake soldiers now, which won't really stop us. The only thing stopping us right now are those cavalry men valiantly catching our arrows with their faces, while my own soldiers are already behind them, and a giant Cyclops is poised to murder the heck out of them. The other guy is probably right now doing whatever he wants. Theoretically he could just teleport over, and he's floating, he has magic gear to float and stuff. But he isn't for some reason, and now the enemy cavalry has to face the horde of undead and the giant Cyclops. While on the other side, our own dudes are getting caught between Russian cavalry and fake illusions. Nasty illusions. And the 21 mages, who could have murdered us all by now, have just started to cast some random garbage. So I guess we have already won. We have just We have just to wait until everything is played out. And where is my other super monster? Yeah, that's the problem with giving magic gear to... Ah, there he was. For a moment I could see him in the mass. He's either stuck or whatever. Also what I wanted to say is... That's the trouble with giving all your magic gear to some insane monstrosity. Sometimes it's not working out like intended. I mean, if he was the only guy on the battlefield, he would have probably slaughtered a lot of guys before getting killed, but in a major battle like this one, his shattered soul shenanigans are getting really tiresome. But well, maybe I am just being unfair to him. Where did he go? Could have sworn he was here somewhere. Ah, there he is! Murdering our own people! That's what he is doing! Killing my archers! Insanity. You have to love it. And finally our archers have run out of arrows, so they're flying over to attack. That's something archers like to do. And normally it's not that much of a problem because they are far behind and don't have wings. But every Kalum army has to face the fact that as soon as they can't do anything else anymore, their archers will attack, and since they can't fly, they will be suddenly there. Then some of them will die in melee, then the rest will run away. Since they have rings, well, at least you could say some of them will survive if you're lucky. And now everyone has run away, and our Cyclops and our undead are still... Oh! They were successful! No, the cavalry is broken and only the illusions are there holding the fort. But not for long. In the fight of undead monsters against deadly illusions, it seems like our undeads are winning. Well, Winden is ours. Thanks to Monster Cyclops here and my horde of undead skeletons. While the other guy spent most of his time murdering archers. That guy is not of sound mind. 41 archers, all murdered by my own monster. That's funny. It's just so stupid. So anyway, that hole in my defenses has been plugged. Sure, I lost half of my army and the rest can't really move forward anymore, but well, there are still more units to go and put there in my southwestern flank. And scripting is beginning, and I have still this astral shaman. He needs some more astral panels to protect us all from enslavement. And shit, nah, I stopped this. I can't sing. Anyway, now this entire southern part of Bogarus is mine, and not just. There are still all those tons of troops in my way, so I can't just leave them there, because if I try to bypass all those cavalry units, he could easily move them in behind me and annoy me. Especially since I can't build new temples right now, and can't recruit new priests. So losing provinces is not really something I want to try right now. I need every single temple I have and every single priest I have preaching right now. So what I do have to do is amass my armies and move forward, and by move forward I mean move perpendicular to the enemy capital, because I have to take those fortresses. Ah, yes, and scripting. And moving reinforcements up. At least one of the 3 fortresses I have to take is already under siege. Now I have to reorganize all those little armies I have here. In this theater of war, some of those guys have to put under research, others have to move forward to the front. And it's really annoying me that this one vampire lord over there sits there, because as he is a vampire lord and just overpowered, I can't just throw whatever at him. I have to crush him under an entire army, and even then he probably will survive since he's immortal. But I want that province and I want him out, so I will have to show some effort here and try to send enough units against him that his kill count is reached and he has to flee. Or alternatively, stab him until he falls down, or has to be revived down at wherever he came from. Hopefully in his capital, because that capital is soon gone, thanks to my ally. But to give him this swift kick in the nuts, I will have to actually send an army in. Anyway, this dude here has a storm spool. It would be really good in making fresh undeads out of air games, but for some reason he ended up here. And oh no, I suddenly got smart and sent him back. Well, that's one more undead maker for my undead engine over there in White Forest. And I think by now the forest isn't called White Forest because of the snow in winter, but because all those white-faced undead marching around. And one more Cosman Constructor. Or should I say undead engineer. Monsters and super mages are also there to give backbone to an army of very vulnerable undead monsters. Because those Frankensteins, as hard as they are to kill on the battlefield, some good spells can easily wreck them since they have a really tiny magic resistance. And so we need all those super death mages to make sure the undead stay undead instead of getting dead a second time. Anyway, what else? Yes, some of my undeads can reanimate, and since research isn't really a deal anymore, we are far too late in the game, everything we haven't researched yet is pretty much irrelevant, so I can put some of my super mages, while they are waiting for everything else to finish, on making more undead duty. I just have to be careful, because not all undead can be reanimated at the same time. Some of those options rely on having corpses in a province, and as you can see at the corpse counter by Summerlands for example, in most of my empire it's a resounding 0 since I faced 0 threats over the time. So after the initial conquest was over, the number of corpses counted down until there was none left everywhere. Except in the front lines, but forming an army up directly in front of Bogarus would be a bit unsubtle, I think. Anyway, as you can see in Unvast, even close to the battlefield there isn't much death to be found, because most of the really nasty stuff has been done with stuff like Enslave, so there aren't really people killing over that often actually. And in the Kupel provinces where there have been massive battles, it's long ago now, or too far away from my logistics. So obviously if I want to reanimate undead in a province with not that much corpses. Oh, Grey Barrier would be great. 158 corpses. That would keep my death mages and Kupel towns busy. But too close to Bogarus stuff. So it would be... I mean, if he has spies here, you can already see the giant stack of undead, but I don't have to thumb his nose in all this shit, I think. Anyway, stuff like long deaths can be summoned even if there are just 9 measly corpses, like in White Forest right now. So that's what I'm doing. long deads are basically skeletons. And there you can reanimate them everywhere, regardless of how many people you have killed recently, which is great. And here I have shamans, and I give some of them Chinese stuff so that they can be strong enough to cast the protection spell I need. Give everyone a little bit more resistance against stuff like Enslave. And otherwise, things have calmed down here since Garth took over the northern provinces. And now I'm trying to move simply westward, parallel to Garth's way, to stamp out the last of Bogarus. I still have some Zits, or the Zits, or this. I have no idea how to pronounce it in English, sorry. Giant flying monsters, and funnily enough, I made a lot of them, hoping to kill lots of Bogarus living units, only for most of them to die when one army accidentally ran into my ally's army. Well, that was also kind of funny, actually, but for some reason I still have some of them. I'm not really sure if the game counts them as undead or not really. I mean, they are undead, but the coding on the other side of the screen can be a bit wonky sometimes. That's because of that I'm still not really sure if Enslave can even do anything with undead, and what's the stuff about undead commanders, demons and otherwise. Can Enslave take them over or not? I think I have seen Zits fighting for Bogarus, so are Zits completely undead, or does the game consider them some kind of abomination that's still counted as alive for some reason and therefore can be mind controlled? Or is it just mindless units that can't be mind controlled? Because that would mean that undeads like Jules, who still have a mind of their own, and vampires can be mind controlled, whereas skeletons can't. That's all that stuff I'm thinking about now, which is really dumb since I should have thought about this years ago, 1 year ago, when I was actually playing. But back then I just thought that Enslave just gets everything and everyone except some mindless units and well, mindless commanders aren't really a thing, sorry, but mindless units here and there. And when all their commanders are overtaken, the mindless units stop doing anything, so what I thought at this point was that Enslave can take over an entire army, even if it's an army of undead monsters with their lords and masters. So I had all those precautions taken to make really sure that my demons and super monsters, undead super monsters, can't be enslaved, because I wasn't really sure if enslave would work on them or not, and I wanted to make really sure it wouldn't. Of course, the same strategy meant that the spells who could have worked on them probably wouldn't have, because of their obscenely high magic protection I piled on some of them. Well, anyway, as you saw in earlier videos, getting killed by horrific abominations from beyond space and time was something I should have thought about, instead of thinking solely in terms of mind control spells. That was a strategic error, I could say. Too bad, but anyway. Am I still scripting? Hold on. How long is this going on now? Okay, no reason to torture us all. I've just cut a couple minutes out of the scripting so we can get on with it. And what I was doing there after scripting was marching armies around. Too bad I can't cut this out either, but then you wouldn't have any idea what is happening in this game, and we can't have that now, can't we? So I have this bunch of stupid guys and commanders and mages, and they have to march to the front. Then I have to put down some of my preachers to preach. Yeah, that guy isn't too funny either. I have to make sure that some of the magic gear the army is carrying goes away from deceased army commanders to ones who aren't about to keel over dead over the course of the next couple turns. And the rest is now firmly scripted and ready. Some death mages, some air mages, a wild mix, and some priests are here, making sure my dominion doesn't get any tinier than it really is. And an important point is, if I can get at least Bogarus dominion out of my domain, then this will mean that I can kill vampires instead of just bumping them a little. That's always annoying. Now armies marching there and there. And I think I have started to move my undead horde in the south. Too bad I lingered over there just for less than half a second before started scripting some more, so it sadly has been cut out again. Which is, by the way, the reason why I'm not cutting that often. Always fucking something up and then something important is lost too. I am the master of cutting out stuff like 30 seconds incredibly important shit and leaving in 10 minutes of tedium. I have basically black thumbs, or was it yellow thumbs? The kind where you are bad with plants. How can it be that my English gets worse the more I talk? It's some interesting conundrum. Anyway, it looks like my first undead army is... Oh no, wait, shit. That was the mage I've put. So I've sent a mage back, I think. That arrow goes to the giant stack, not from it. Hard to see sometimes. What I keep forgetting in it because I'm not really accustomed to handling that giant death stacks like this. I mean, I'm accustomed to them, but not on the effects on the game map, since normal games it's not often that ludicrous. But so normally there is an option where I can turn off graphics like armies, and then I can see what was hidden arrow below it, like movement arrows and stuff. It's just that I keep forgetting that it's a thing, so I have to guess then, because I'm stupid and shit. And wow, 200 reanimated undeads, that's even more than I think than Frankenstein's I have monster together. And still, it was apparently enough to get to the utmost border of Pangaea of the Mount Fiend's ability to command, so... And oh, I was wrong, there's actually a second guy commanding Frankenstein's. And at this point it gets silly, I think. What I'm trying to do here is getting out the undeads, the skeletons, who started to turn up in my giant beautiful stacks of Frankensteins. And I wanted to make basically commanding a bit more pure. But then I realized this was simply folly, especially since in gameplay mechanics both units are quite the same. They can just march forward and kill or be killed again, I suppose, so having some skeletons mixed in doesn't make a shit of a lot of difference. It's like I talked about earlier, a problem of numbers. If you have 99 Frankensteins who can shock your enemy to death, then it's completely irrelevant if there are 1-2 skeletons who can't mixed in. It's just the battle won't turn on those two guys. And now I start to repeat myself, and the turn is over, and that's it for me. Next time you time travel back in the past and hear my old me from last year. and Libluini out from this last recording.